How do we improve our democratic process of voting? How do we increase transparency in voting? Well, the team at Agora are working to answer those questions and more using blockchain to totally shake up the way in which voting happens. Now, before we break down exactly how Agora is planning on doing all of these things, just a quick reminder to always do your own research on any cryptocurrency before investing your hard-earned money. And a big thank you to the team at Agora for supporting the channel by sponsoring today's video. So what exactly is Agora? Well, it is a protocol purpose-built to enable voting on the blockchain. Agora is already 4 years in the making and is a Swiss-based company. Agora is bringing a wide range of dApps that will enable anyone, anywhere, to vote in elections, referendums, surveys, shareholder meetings, exchange listings, or, well, really basically anything requiring a verifiable vote, thus empowering communities as well as private and public organizations to eliminate the fraud and the corruption which has tarnished so many elections, while at the same time reducing costs and engaging voters in a modern, convenient, and accessible way, essentially making the election process a trustless process, whereas currently we have to trust lots of centralized services like voting machines, and trust that the ballot readers are honest, and trust that the governments, organizations which are hosting those elections are honest, etc., etc., etc. And history has shown us that these players are unfortunately not so damn trustworthy. And really, by eliminating paper ballots and voting machines, etc., etc., we will be taking voting into the modern digital age. The Agora chain is a proprietary chain based on a non-financially incentivized consensus mechanism which has been purpose-built for the use case of voting from the ground up. And it is a spin-off from the Decentralized and Distributed Systems Lab of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, and it is the culmination of 4 years of research. Thus, Agora is a protocol built for the purpose of voting, not just an app that enables you to vote. Now, why did they build an entire blockchain purpose-built for voting? Well, the need for a self-built proprietary chain is that it must seek to serve the communities it works with, not the incentives of the miners on the network. Agora's public blockchain, which is called the bulletin board, is where the data is stored throughout any given election process. The public nature of the ledger means that any party can verify the validity of a given election as well as the intermediate steps of the voting process. The ledger is, of course, accessible to everyone, so not just outside analysts, but voters themselves can actually look and verify that their individual vote is accurate and has remained unaltered. The results of the election will also be publicly available to all parties in an election, as well as cryptographic proofs of their validity. Furthermore, Agora does not have access to any user data, including the content of voter ballots, which is crucial for privacy. All ballots are encrypted on an individual's voting device with open source encryption technology before being transmitted over to Agora's network. Then, once ballots are put on the network, they are anonymized, thus detaching the vote from the ID of the voter. Furthermore, Agora has 3 technological innovations that really make them stand out. They are called SkipChain, Cotena, and Valeta. SkipChain provides a consensus mechanism with high throughput and efficient transaction validation. Cotena then provides a method for storing cryptographic skip chain proofs onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And finally, Valeta performs cryptographic proofs validating skip chain and Cotena data, all with the goal of providing high security and verifiability. Agora has built a voting application on top of the Agora chain that is open for anyone who wants to use it. They also built a supply chain ballot tracking application which seeks to help communities, institutions, governments, and basically anyone else to actually be able to organize an election both logistically and financially. But these initial dApps are not the be-all, end-all, since the chain is a public chain. Thus, developers are welcome to come and build on top of Agora to provide more tools to elegantly handle elections. For example, ID management tools like facial or voice recognition dApps could easily be built on top of Agora's chain. The end goal of Agora is to create the best and safest environment to enable elections and to facilitate transparent and easy voting. Agora also has a really cool token model where instead of giving a value to the votes, Agora incentivizes the auditing of the election. So what Agora does is to pay auditors all over the world to watch the consensus and the election overall, whereby the auditors are financially incentivized to tell the truth about the results of an election. In a way, the auditors are like election contractors working for Agora, since Agora actually pays a portion of the income from each election out to the auditors. Auditors have no relationship with Agora. They are third parties who receive financial incentives to monitor the election for any red flags. They are essentially contracted out for one day and then paid for their work in verifying that vote and processing the results of that vote. It works like this. Election officials contract Agora and then they pay the fee. Agora then buys vote tokens on the secondary market. A reserve of vote tokens is put aside to pay the node operators and those who are verifying the election. The election then happens, the results are verified, and nodes and verifiers are then paid out, with the final results being securely stored on the public ledger. Agora has a global network of nodes which maintain the public ledger and ensure that it is tamper-proof and that the results are verifiable from any election. The consensus nodes are invite-only and consist of NGOs and universities and other neutral parties. 95% of reserved vote tokens are paid out to verifiers and 5% are paid out to those maintaining the ledger. Now, in terms of the election process itself, here is basically how it would work. So an election official creates the election. Voters vote using their encrypted ballots. Agora then anonymizes the votes. The votes are then decrypted to see the result. The votes are then tallied. The auditors audit. Final validity is authenticated. And voila, you have your election result. And the utility of a blockchain election is not just about transparency either, but it actually saves governments, or well, anyone else looking to do an election, a lot of money, because the logistics of running an election can be totally crazy and very expensive. Just sealing and transporting ballots can cost millions of dollars. A recent example from France, for example, where the government spent 160 million euros just sealing and transporting the ballots. Agora can make that 50 to 80% cheaper. And that's just France. In countries which lack the infrastructure which France has, like for example, the Democratic Republic of Congo, it can take more than a week to send the voting machines to the most remote places of the country using boats and canoes and things like that. And of course, a lot of money is also spent by countries to ensure the security of their citizens during the voting process. But this can also be a double-edged sword in some countries, since security forces can basically intimidate voters and tell them to vote for a certain candidate. Agora has actually come up with a pretty cool feature to fight this kind of election day intimidation. Voters can actually change their vote until the last moment. So if someone is forced to vote for someone that they didn't really want to vote for because somebody was standing there with a gun saying, hey, vote for that guy, then they can actually connect through another phone, identify themselves, and change their vote, which is pretty awesome. Also, the Agora team is a very strong team. The CEO, Leonardo, is a financial engineer and programmer who received his first award from French President Chirac at the age of 8. He patented his first invention at the age of 20, and he has sold successful algorithms to major hedge funds. He is joined by a wide range of high-level political figures, including a former president, a former first lady, a former ambassador, and the CTO and ex-head of cryptography at Intel, and their team previously developed several centralized e-voting frameworks for Swiss Post and for the state of Geneva before beginning their work on Agora. And Agora is supported by Fenbushi Capital, which is one of the most influential crypto capital funds. Agora's testnet is scheduled to launch by the end of the year, and the mainnet is scheduled for Q1 of 2020. Agora will start trading on Binance DEX in just a few days. But the final part of their public sale is still ongoing. There is $500,000 available for purchase with a 10% discount. This sale is solely retail focused. And in regards to the DEX listing, private investors are locked up for 3 months post-listing. There is a link down below if you want to get involved with the sale before the listing, or you can always watch to grab some tokens on Binance DEX later on. The public sale ends August 23rd at 9 p.m. GMT. And guys, I really like what Agora is doing here. Blockchain and voting are an excellent combination, and it is something that is definitely in need of disruption. The fact we're still voting with pieces of paper, it needs to be updated. We need open digital democracy. We need the democracy of the future. We need democracy on the blockchain. Make sure to check out the links in the description below as well, where you can really learn more about Agora. Go and read their white paper. It's actually a really interesting read if you're interested in voting and digital voting. So make sure to check that out. But what do you guys think about Agora? Would you be willing to vote on the blockchain? Let me know what you think about it down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up on it. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.